Hey everybody, welcome back to Bibles on a Budget. My name is CJ, and today we are taking a look at a very interesting, it's not a Bible per se, and it's not even a New Testament. Technically, these are just the four Gospels. This whole thing contains the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, but it is paired with devotions from Charles Spurgeon. Yes, the 19th century expository preacher, Charles Spurgeon. Was he an expository preacher? Hold on. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hey everybody, welcome back to Bibles on a Budget. My name is CJ, and today we are taking a look at a very cool offering from the folks at Thomas Nelson. This is the New King James Version, Spurgeon and the Gospels. So this is not a Bible. This is not a whole New Testament. This is just the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, along with devotions from Charles Spurgeon. Yes, the very famous 19th century English preacher. Okay, so this is really cool. Checked it out. I showed you it in a previous video where I showed you kind of the recent Bibles that I got from Thomas Nelson. And whenever I look at the list that they send me, I'm like, okay, what have I not looked at? What sounds interesting? And I was like, oh, this is something with Spurgeon. It's like, oh, this is with the Gospels. Let's check this out. And here it is. So I have to say, this is a really cool thing because, again, it's just the four Gospels, but there are these little nuggets, these comments, these devotions from Charles Spurgeon for every chapter of every Gospel. So that's really cool. But before we look at the Bible itself, or the Gospels with the Spurgeon thing, what do you want to call it? I want to call it a Bible, but it's not technically a Bible. It has the four Gospels, but it's not the complete Christian scripture. Before we look at this really cool book here, let's take a look at the cover here. So this is a slip cover. This is a one where you're going to pull it out. So peekaboo, there's the top. It is gilded, so that's pretty cool. Here's the side. So Spurgeon the Gospels, black Leathersoft. I love the cover on this Bible. This Gospels. I don't know what to call it. I'm just like, I can't call it a New Testament. I can't call it any of that stuff because it's not the whole New Testament. So anyway, on the back here, you get a verse from John chapter 20, verse 31. Some information about Charles Spurgeon. This is a devotional edition, they say, of the Gospels, featuring a brief extract from Spurgeon's sermons and collected works leading into each chapter of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. They're filled with deep insights, and it will be a timeless classic that engages readers for years to come. So again, the features are, there's devotional thoughts from Spurgeon, every chapter of the Gospel. It is a very beautifully constructed New Testament Gospel devotional, whatever you really want to call this thing. And something that I was actually surprised about when I was checking this out a little while ago, I went back through it and I was like, the printing seems weird. Why is everything shifted to one side? It's because there's space provided for you to journal your own meditations. So this is also, in some ways, a note-taking Bible. So if you're reading through the Gospels, you want to write some stuff down, you have enough space for that. And it also comes with a 9-point size New King James comfort print, which is super cool. Then here again is a little information on the man himself, Charles Spurgeon. He's a Victorian era pastor in London. He was known for both his insightful preaching and caring ministry to those in need. His legacy of faithfulness continues to be a guiding light for believers today. Anytime I hear a quote or something about Charles Spurgeon, I know he's not a perfect man. I know no one is perfect. No one is like completely 100% like Christ. But he was one of God's greatest preachers, one of God's greatest servants. So again, this is it. This thing normally costs $20. So that's not bad. So there's some Bibles that cost that much. But maybe this will be worth it to you, being $20. But here it is. Here is the devotional thing Again, I don't know what to call it, but like I want to call it a Bible, I want to call it a New Testament, but it's neither of them. It's just the four Gospels and Spurgeon's thoughts. But as you can see, beautiful cover. Love the Leathersoft. I'm not really a fan of this here, not because I don't like this symbol here, but because I wish it was embossed. I wish it was actually blind stamped into the fake leather here. Because like you're feeling it, and then you come over here and just like this like indented soft thing, and it's like, what's going on there? But if that's really your only concern, if that's the only thing that you can gripe about with this beautiful edition here, then yeah, you're in pretty good standing, because this is fabulous. So this is the front. It is perimeter stitched like a lot of Thomas Nelson Bibles and things are. Here's the spine. It says Spurgeon and the Gospels, New King James, Thomas Nelson logo. This stuff is not stamped in, so if you use this and you hold the spine, you do this with your hands, your oils will rub away at this stuff, unfortunately. I think mine is, it's not there yet, because I haven't handled it that much, like in like a very like aggressive, like day-to-day way. But yes, this will probably wear away after time. And then blind stamped here is the ISBN. And this thing is, like I said before, it is gilded, comes with this beautiful, beautiful bright blue ribbon and black head and tail bands. Now, enough of the cover, let's get to the contents, which is the most important part of any Bible. So you probably saw this when I was messing around with the cover a second ago, but this thing has a beautiful, beautiful paper paste down liner and end sheet. This is kind of like a black and white image of a field. This thing is gorgeous. Very, very gorgeous. I like this. This is better than like just a plain black one. That's really nice. I like that. And there's a presentation page. Spurgeon the Gospels, pretty plain, but I like that. Not too exciting. Spurgeon the Gospels, Spurgeon in the Gospels. Now, all the text in this, you're going to see this. So this is kind of a sneak peek of what to expect with the sides, because I looked at this earlier and was like, uh-oh, is this a printing error? Everything's just being kind of jammed into the side. I'm like, why is the copyright page all the way over? Why is this all the way over? This is purposeful, folks. If you just read the back of your box, it will tell you. If this is purposeful, the back of the box will tell you. But here's the copyright page. Contents has a brief preface of the New King James, introduction to this edition, and then Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And then in the back, it has a bibliography, which tells you where all of his quotes and all the things at the beginning of each chapter, where they're taken from, where the editors of this particular edition take those thoughts and insights from Charles Spurgeon from. They're from sermons. He has a commentary on Matthew that they also use in this. So, and it does have blue highlights, so there's that. And then here is the preface to the New King James. It's not the full preface. This is just the brief one, just telling you about the reasons for it and all that stuff. So definitely check that out. And here is the introduction, gives you some information on Charles Spurgeon. Here is a quote. Actually, this is from, who is this from? This is from his wife, actually. That's nice. That's really cool. So this is actually a quote from his wife. I thought this was a quote from him, but again, read this and you'll find out. And then down here it explains a little bit more of what this is. It says, this devotion presents a short passage from Spurgeon's sermons and writings for each chapter of the four Gospels to aid us in our meditation on Christ. As we listen to a voice from the excellent glory, may we also be captivated by the Savior. That's really cool. I like that. That's a really good way of looking at it. Alrighty, so Matthew. It doesn't say New Testament and then it goes into Matthew. Just go straight into Matthew because it's just the four Gospels. So every chapter is laid out in a single column, verse by verse. You will have the name of the book chapter up here, the pericope, kind of the main focus of this chapter. And then between these two lines, you'll have some insights from Charles Spurgeon. Now, like I said, the bibliography will tell you for each chapter where any of this comes from, right? So if you want to go look up the entire context of each of these things, you can know where they're from. But again, blue accents for the verses, for the pericope up here. And then down here, there are the notes. We do have some notes, and I apologize for a bit of the shadowing there. I don't know why my lights are not super bright here. but you'll notice that there are some notes. And what's really funny about this is that the notes will reference back to places that you cannot access in this edition because this is just the four Gospels. It may say, oh, you can go back to Genesis and look up this thing. It's like, you can't go back into Genesis and this because it's just the four Gospels. I saw that earlier with something for, what was it, 1 Peter in Matthew 5:10, and I was like, you can't go to 1 Peter here because this is just the four Gospels. So that's kind of funny. Then at the bottom, you do have a black page number. And again, it's just going to be the same kind of format. This is not red letter. Let me show you that. This is just solid black letter. This should be in red, so it is not a red letter edition. But all the highlights, I love this. This stuff is kind of in the style of what they call the McLaren series. I don't think they're calling it that anymore, but it used to have, like, let's say the McLaren series would have this kind of box, and it would have these highlights and stuff, but it doesn't seem like they're calling it that anymore. But anyway, this is beautiful. I don't know if you can tell, but this font is actually very nice and very comfortable. It's a good sized little thing here. I can take this with me and put it in my backpack if I want to go wherever and just read the Gospels. That's pretty awesome. And here's the ribbon. It's kind of creased there, but that's okay. So now you kind of get an idea. You're familiar with the text, so I don't have to show you too much more. Let's go to the back and I'll show you the bibliography. The bibliography is really cool. So like I was saying, and there's a note for the type, but like I was saying, the bibliography will not only tell you what, you're going to see these abbreviations. So here it'll tell you what the abbreviations mean. So GOK is his Gospel of the Kingdom, a commentary on the book of Matthew. Anytime you see over here MTP, that's from his Metropolitan Tabernacle Pulpit Sermons, volumes 7 to 63. And then NPSP is from his New Park Street Pulpit Sermons, volumes 1 through 6. So again, the introduction will give you some information. It will tell you that, oh, I can read whatever this is from his Metropolitan Tabernacle Pulpit Sermons, page 596. And then also, I think the V probably means like the beginning of the Gospel of the Kingdom commentary. But anyway, so you can see each chapter here. And then you'll see the abbreviations and tells you where they're found in these different things, in the commentaries and also in his sermons. And like I said before, they do it for all the books, all the chapters. So there you go. A few empty pages there if you want to add, you want to draw or write there. Note on the type there, more emptiness, and then the same end sheet and paper paste down on the back. In the back, there we go. So anyway, what do I think about this thing? Well, it's not a Bible, but it does contain the Word of God. And so I've been trying to say edition because it's not really New Testament, it's not the Bible, it's just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. However, it's really cool because I think I'm pretty young. I don't know too much about Charles Spurgeon. I haven't really read too much from him, but this edition actually gives me an opportunity as I read through the New Testament, or should I say, sorry, reading through the Gospels, to kind of just read some insights from him about the actual chapter. Now, he's not, in some cases, directly addressing the chapters as far as I'm aware of. Matthew maybe more or less, because he did a whole commentary of the book of Matthew. But there's everything else for the other books are taken from his sermon series. So these may actually indeed relate, but I'm not too sure. I haven't really studied into deeply. So if maybe you have and you want to let me know, oh yeah, they definitely relate, please let me know. And obviously I'll look at these too. But yeah, who do I recommend this to? If you like Charles Spurgeon, if you enjoy his sermons, if you've read them, if you happen to somebody put them to voice and you listen to them and you like how he thinks, what his theology, definitely check this out. If you're someone who's never heard of Charles Spurgeon, still check this out. It's in a nice, friendly way of doing it. Nice big font. Where all the quotes are from. It's not very intrusive. You have space to write down stuff. I think this is really cool, and it's super portable, super thin. I think it's probably either an inch or less than an inch, and it's just it's the size of a nice, like, almost like a personal size, maybe a little smaller, but it's really nice. So I recommend this. I would say this is really cool. Definitely check this out for 20 bucks. Definitely check this out. If you can find it on sale, definitely pick it up. Yeah, I'll leave some links down in the description below. And you can just look at Amazon or Christian Books or even Church Source, and see which one has the best price. And if you're so inclined, pick it up, especially with Black Friday coming up and Cyber Monday. Check this out. There's going to be a lot of Bible deals. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this review from Bibles on a Budget. And remember, folks, the truth does not have to be expensive. See you in the next one.